Japanese yen is on the verge of hitting another record low in the last 33 years. As I record this, the Japanese yen is now 149 to the US dollar, getting really close to the 151-year mark of October 2022 when it hit the 32-year low. So, is the Japanese yen worthless today? Nearly every country in the world has been battling sky-high inflation by hiking up interest rates, but Japan refuses to join the fight. And as a result, it's paying the price with a massive declining in the value of its currency. The Japanese yen was one of the worst performing currencies in 2022, and it continues to be that way in 2023. So why is yen so weak today? The yen's depreciation is a response to expectations that the Bank of Japan will maintain its stance of keeping the interest rates super low to stimulate the economy. And this is giving investors incentives to sell the currency. So the question is, how long will this continue? I'm not sure. I don't think anyone's certain. But my guess is that unless Japan raises the interest rates or other countries bring down the interest rates, this trend will likely continue. And this is terrible news for people who are earning only in Japanese yen and wanting to travel abroad. On the other hand, if you're earning in another currency, preferably a strong one, and are planning to visit Japan, it's excellent news for you. So in this video, I will illustrate how cheap Japan is by comparing the average income, the cost of Big Mac, the cost of monthly rent, and the cost to buy property against some of the countries in the world based on where most of my audience is located. If you're new here, my name is Shu. On this channel, I talk about real estate investing, financial freedom, and Japan. If you enjoy the content on my channel, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and I'd really appreciate it. All right, now let's get started. So we're gonna start with comparisons between Japan and the US. And let's start with Japan's numbers. In 2023, the average income is $41,000 a year. Big Mac costs $3.05. Average rent for a family is $1,049 per month. And the average cost of a house is $236,000. And here are the numbers for the US today. The average income is $59,000 per year. Big Mac costs $5.35. The nationwide median rent is $2,050 per month. And the nationwide average cost of a house today is $416,000. So that's plus 44% for income, plus 75% for Big Mac, plus 95% or almost 2x for rent, and plus 76% for a house. As you can see, the difference in housing expenses are a lot higher than the income difference. With such high interest rates, it's that much harder to buy a house in the US today. So here's what I recently found out. Almost 1/3 of my entire audience for this channel actually comes from these 4 states. So I'll also compare the cost of living in Japan versus each of these states. The 4 states are Texas, Florida, New York, and California. Let's start with Texas. Average income is $57,000 per year. Big Mac costs $5.36. The median rent is $1,305 per month. And the average cost of a house today is $306,000. Compared to Japan, that's plus 39% for income, plus 76% for Big Mac, plus 24% for rent, and plus 30% for a house. Okay, so the cost of living in Texas is pretty comparable to Japan, but things get more interesting from here. Let's move on to Florida. The average income is $56,000 per month. Big Mac costs $4.29. The median rent is $1,696 per month, and the average cost of a house today is $407,000. Compared to Japan, that's plus 37% for income, plus 41% for Big Mac, plus 62% for rent, and plus 72% for a house. A significant jump from the rent and buying a house. Now let's take a look at the state of New York. The average income is $75,000 per year. Big Mac costs $5.29. The median rent is $1,720 per month, and the average cost of a house today is $427,000. Compared to Japan, that's plus 83% for income, plus 73% for Big Mac, plus 64% for rent, and plus 78% for a house. I guess this one makes sense too because the difference between every category is quite similar. Finally, California. The average income is $73,000 per year. Big Mac costs $5.89. The median rent is $1,930 per month. And the average cost of a house today is $763,000. Compared to Japan, plus 78% for income, plus 93% for Big Mac, plus 84% for rent, and wait for it, plus 223% or 3.2x for a house. Even if you're making a Californian salary, it's that much more expensive to buy a house in this state. So those were the comparisons between 4 American states and Japan. And before we get into the next segment of the video, I have something special for you. If you're serious about buying property in Japan, I just launched the most comprehensive course in English on how to do just that. And I created this course with Colin from Kick Assets. You'll learn everything you need to know about how to buy property in Japan, whether you want to build a rental portfolio or just buy a vacation home. The link is in the description. Now let's move on to another North American country, Canada. To make this comparison simple, the currency used is Canadian dollars. Let's start with Japan. In 2023, the average income is 56,000 Canadian dollars. Big Mac is $4.09. Rent for a family is $1,405 per month. And the average cost of a house is $318,000. Here are the numbers for Canada. The average income is $68,000 per year. Big Mac costs $6.75. Rent for a family is $2,078 per month. And the average cost of a house today is $669,000. So that's plus 21% for income, plus 65% for Big Mac, plus 48% for rent, and plus 110% or 2.1x for a house. Again, this is how cheap Japan is. The difference in annual income is just 21%, but buying a house is so much cheaper in Japan than Canada. So the next up is Australia. The final point might shock you. To make the comparison simple, the currency used is Australian dollars. Let's start with Japan today. In 2023, the average income is 65,000 Australian dollars per year. Big Mac is $4.72. Rent for a family is $1,627 per month. And the average cost of a house is $367,000. Here are the numbers for Australia. In 2023, the average weekly income is $1,838. So times 52, that's $96,000 a year. Big Mac costs $6.60. Rent for a single family home is $2,494 per month. And this is the crazy part. The average cost of a house today is $956,000. So that's plus 48% for income, plus 40% for Big Mac, plus 53% for rent, and you guessed it, plus 160% or 2.x for a house. Again, it's that much cheaper to buy a house in Japan. And this makes a whole lot of sense why a lot of Aussies are looking into buying properties in Japan. Okay, so moving on to Australia's neighboring country, New Zealand. Let's see how this one will turn out. To make this comparison simple, the currency used is New Zealand dollars. Let's start with Japan. In 2023, the average income is 69,000 New Zealand dollars per year. Big Mac is $5.05. Average rent for a family is $1,757 per month. The average cost of a house is $397,000. Here are the numbers for New Zealand. The average income is $70,000 per year. Big Mac costs $7.81. Median rent is $575 per week or $2,505 per month. And the average cost of a house today is $894,000. So that's plus 1.4% for income, plus 55% for Big Mac, plus 43% for rent, and a whopping 125% or 2.25x for a house. So very similar annual income, but a huge difference with the average housing prices. This is wild. Should I say Japan is so cheap or New Zealand so expensive? I'll let you be the judge. Now let's go to Europe. We'll start with the UK. I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. The final point is a shocker though. To make this comparison simple, the currency used is British pounds. Let's start with Japan. Big Mac is 2.49 pounds. Rent for a family is 863 pounds per month. The average cost of a house is 195,000 pounds. And the average income is 34,000 pounds a year. Here are the numbers for the United Kingdom. Big Mac costs 4 pounds. Rent for a family is 1,199 pounds per month. The average cost of a house today is 285,000 pounds. And the average income is 32,000 pounds per year. That's plus 61% for Big Mac, plus 39% for rent, plus 46% for a house, but minus 6% for income. So on average, people in Japan basically earn about the same amount of money, but get to spend a lot less. And that's how cheap it feels to live in Japan right now, or expensive to live in the UK. All right, let's do another country in Europe, Germany. This one is different from the rest. To make the comparison simple, the currency used is euro. Let's start with Japan. In 2023, the average income is 32,000 euros per year. Big Mac is 2.86 euro. Rent for a 3-bedroom apartment is 992 euro per month. And the average cost of a new house is 227,000 euro. Here are the numbers for Germany. The average income is 49,000 euro per year. Big Mac costs 3.64 euro. Average rent for a 3-bedroom apartment is 1,347 euro per month. And the average cost of a house today is 320,000 euro. That's plus 53% for income, plus 27% for Big Mac, plus 35% for rent, and plus 41% for house. So there isn't that big of a surprise because there is a correlation between the income and the cost of living with these two countries. But apparently your income gets taxed very heavily in Germany, like 42% or something like that. So your take-home salary probably won't be as big in Germany. Now we're gonna wrap this up with Singapore. The final point will absolutely blow your mind. To make the comparison simple, the currency used is Singaporean dollars. Let's start with Japan. In 2023, the average income is 57,000 Singaporean dollars per year. Big Mac is $4.15. Rent for a 3-bedroom apartment is $1,382 per month. And the average cost of a home is $329,000. Here are the numbers for Singapore. The average income is $70,000 per year. Big Mac costs $7.23. Rent for a 3-bedroom apartment is $2,600 per month. And the median price of a Singaporean home in 2023 is, wait for it, $1.6 million. That's plus 23% for income, plus 74% for Big Mac, plus 88% for rent, and plus 386% or almost 5x for a home. So I posted a short video about this on TikTok and I got a lot of heat for this one. Many viewers from Singapore said this is not accurate, but I got the housing number from this router's article, so I'll leave it at that. Anyway, I think you get my point now. As of October 2023, Japan is very cheap, especially buying properties. But this may not continue for too long. I'm not the only one who's seen this massive opportunity and taking advantage of it. According to this article, Japan regional land prices are up for the first time in 31 years. This is a big deal, and this might be a sign that the real estate market will shift in Japan in the near future. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor and share this video with someone who might like this too. And if you want to learn how to buy a cheap property in Japan as a foreigner, I put together a free guide that will help you own your dream house or get started with real estate investing in Japan. Click the link below in the description and be sure to watch this video next for more. See you in the next one.